Hello kids, and welcome to another one of Emma's Snippets. Now today I want to talk to you about being authentic, and I'm kind of winging this one a little bit because I have all these feelings and all these things I want to say about it, and I just want to see what comes up more than anything. Now when I say to you, what is authenticity? What comes to your mind? What do you think of? And generally speaking, it's one of those things that's quite hard to explain, it's quite hard to define. But one of the things I'm noticing as well, and that's making me a little bit nervous, is I can see the term authenticity creeping in as almost a toxic word. This idea of it's another thing that we've got to do. We've got to have good well-being. We've got to, have good fitness. We've got to have a good outlook. We've got to do this. We've got to drink enough water. We've got to eat enough veg. And now we have to be authentic, And if your understanding of being authentic is, to live your best life at all times, to be the perkier, bubblier side of you at all times, I would suggest that actually that isn't what being authentic is. And there is a danger that we feel like we have to kind of up the ante on our quirks and our weirdness, because most of us are a bit, right? Most of us are a bit weird, a little bit quirky, some more than others. I'm quite proud of how I am. I know that sometimes I come across as a little bit odd, and when I was in school, I was massively pushed out for it, and I always think, trendy kids make boring adults, what can you do? But if you're finding yourself kind of falling for these memes that you're saying, that's like, fall for a weird girl and all this sort of thing, and you've got to up who you are, you've got to turn it up to 11 all the time, you've got to just add that quirk, be that kind of American sitcom person, whether it's the guy or the girl, to be your most lovable. If you're kind of pushing yourself to be some extreme version so that you are, ultimate 2022, 2023 person, then you're not being authentic. Being authentic is about having internal validation. It's about entrusting your internal voice. It's about knowing what you want and why. And those things aren't easy. They take work. You don't just go, do you know what? I know exactly what I want. None of us do that. It doesn't come easy to anybody. People who work on this stuff for years. To really understand who they are and what drives them, and to be clued in and keyed in to their personal indicators that tell them when something feels out of alignment or not quite right, or not really what they want to do, or not really where they want to be, or the other person's not really who they want to be with, this sort of thing, right? It's not as straightforward as, I am this person, I am not this person, I'm going to always be like that. Sometimes being authentic also is being a bit of a twat, being and knowing and liking the shitty side of you. None of us are all rainbows, right? None of us are all sparkle. Some of us, not all of us, all of us have a shitty side. How much of that we express is our choice, right? And, I'm not saying be mean to people, always be kind, but there's nothing wrong with being in a bad mood either. Do you know what I mean? It's not your job to entertain everybody else or to bring sunshine to a room. You may be told that you're the person that brings sunshine to the room, and that is wonderful if that's who you are, but you're not obliged to do that. Being authentic is understanding who you are, where you come from and why, and living your life by those values, those behaviours, those intrinsic principles, right? And they don't always have to be sparkly, beautiful, rainbow type things, okay? Being authentic is not upping the quirk, being mega fun, being, if you're an introvert, particularly quiet, if you're extrovert, particularly loud. If you're adding particularly to it, you're probably not being authentic. It's a bit like one of those magic eyes. If you're looking really hard, you're never going to see it. And that's why it's really difficult to figure out what authenticity is. So just when you look around and you're paying attention to this language that's kind of out there and becoming a bit of a buzzword, just be careful that you don't fall into a trap of seeing it as almost a toxic influence on who you are and how you have to behave. Have and shoulds, not great words in this context. So I think, considering that I just came up with whatever comes to my mind, I think that went pretty well, because I think I articulated how I'm feeling about this quite strongly. Does this resonate with you? Let me know. Let's have a chat about it, because it's difficult to get to the bottom of, but when you do get to the bottom of it, it's a wonderful feeling. Okay, kids, that's Snippy out. Ciao.